Like to call the meeting back to order from our little lunch break there that we had. And thanks again to admin. That was a delicious lunch. Thank you. All right, on our agenda, we're just going to follow up with the last item we chatted about, which is 5.3, policy 3405, the dust control program, page 72 of your agenda package. It just in quick conversation with regards to this. Once again, I had talked about earlier that I feel that the policy is leaving quite a gray area for our administration as well as council, that when a discrepancy, dispute, or concern is brought forward to the Director of Infrastructure Services for resolution or escalation to the CAO or County Council, we've removed the parameters or guidelines, I guess you could say, that are very helpful for administration as well as council to follow. And when we have these situations that we put gray into a policy, they're inevitable going to come back to council for direction. And I'm quite sure everybody is in agreement that maybe the dust control policy isn't something we always want to have come back to council. So I would like to put a motion forward to direct administration to bring policy 3405 with the addition of commercial operations guidelines to a committee of the whole meeting for further discussion. It is listed in our prior policy 3406. So I would hope that that would be the guide to give to administration to look at those guidelines possibly and look for council support on that. So is there any, go ahead,
Can you
Councilor.
repeat that, please?
The motion
Yeah.
or the motion to direct administration to bring policy 3405 with the addition of commercial operations guidelines to a committee of the whole meeting
Okay.
for discussion, I guess, for discussion. Okay, I don't know if, go ahead, Councillor Hall.
I'm wondering about the motion because it's a direction to provide admin to do something very specific in terms of amendments. And committee of the whole had time to talk about this exact thing at the January 28th one, and it wasn't something that came up. And so I feel like it would be better to test whether council had the appetite to even do. It feels like a reconsideration to me. We've already just approved an amendment to the dust control policy and it seems like that's sealed then for the year. And council's not discussed whether they generally support adding commercial operations into it. And I don't know, I feel like we're recircling on something that we've just decided and trying to reopen a policy after we've just closed it.
Okay, thank you. I did mention in our January 28th meeting that I would be bringing that motion forward because during that discussion that we had, it seemed that it wasn't the time to bring that motion forward and that I would be bringing it again forward. So Councillor Wallach and then Councillor Cromwell.
Yeah, just going back to when we first changed this policy, I thought that's why we took out the commercial stuff, was to simplify it so that we just don't do it.
No, there are development permits, once again. There are development permits out there that have a condition in them. And those conditions are, and once again, this one for this particular presentation that we were given, the owner developer shall be responsible for dust control along the route if the county deems dust control is necessary during the operation of the development. And in saying that then puts it back to usually our Director of Infrastructure, and then of course, according to our policy, to make that decision. If they don't have any parameters or guidelines to work within, it's going to come back to council. They're going to ask for that, those questions, in my opinion. That's the way I see it. And so to avoid that and to, like I say, policies need to be black and white, not have a whole pile of gray in it, or we're just going to end up with constantly having that conversation. So to eliminate the gray, put it in black and white, put some of those guidelines in, and then we don't have to worry about it, especially considering we have development permits out there. And that goes to bylaw. If those conditions are not followed, then it becomes another concern. So we can't ignore our conditions of our development permits. What we can do is make the guidelines available so that it's easier for administration to go forward and make their decisions on how that should be applied. Councillor Cromwell.
Thank you. I believe I spoke of this the last time we talked about it, that we have a policy where exactly, we have so much gray, then we have what we're gonna do in your development permit and your plan versus what we're really gonna do, but then we're gonna add in this trucking company, we're not gonna hold that to account. We understand that not everyone is going to be happy with how a policy is written. However, what people want is fairness. If an apple is an apple over here, an apple needs to be an apple over here. And I think that is something that we are lacking in our policy. And you can't look at one group of people and go, this is what you're going to do. But look at the other and go, we're not going to make that apply for you. So I think there's a lot of work to do with that yet. It's not going to be a huge undertaking. And that is the purpose of our committee of the whole meeting, to have that open discussion with our administration, with our directors around the table and work something out that meets the needs of the county. I fully support the motion.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Hall.
Just remembering the majority of council took this out and now we're circling back. But I'm just, what I'm hoping for, I guess, is if the chair would explain to council how this is not a reconsideration of a motion. Because effectively it's asking to revisit a policy that we have just approved amendments to. And so just can you walk us through how this is not a reconsideration of
It's an
that
addition.
amendment?
The way I see it, it was an additional motion to the one that we had just done. And to bring this, just follow through with what I had said the last time during committee of the whole, that I would be bringing this
Yeah, but-
again forward, because we're in a situation that if we are revising a policy, we might as well revise it completely and wholeheartedly all at once, rather than run into this all over again. And again, I'm very concerned about our development permits that have these.
And I
conditions.
appreciate that you're concerned and the background stuff. I just like, the question really is, we have just made a revision to the policy.
A revision, yes.
And we have just made a decision to revise the policy. The matter is now closed. Policy's been adjusted and touched. Now we're being asked to go back and revise it again. And so I'm just concerned that we're circling back on.
No, it was mentioned earlier, Counselor, that there would be an additional motion as we were having that
But
conversation.
whether you mentioned or not, I mean, we got told the other day, the rules are the rules. We got to obey them. And I'm just looking at the bylaw and how is it not reconsideration? Like, because it was mentioned, it doesn't say it's not a reconsideration if we mention it first. The reality is we've changed the policy's changed, it's closed unless we're willing to reopen.
No, it was an additional motion that was made in the conversation we had today. So therefore it is not completely closed. Counselor Anderson.
Thank you. I believe that this motion competes with the previous motion and would be a reconsideration to open up the policy for further amendments. So I also think that we would need a motion to reconsider prior to further discussion on policy amendments.
Well, thank you for your opinion. Once again, as I mentioned during the conversation that we had earlier today, that there will be an additional motion before we moved on, and that's what this is. And we agreed to do a revision. This is a second revision that was asked during the conversation. Now, is there any other further? Okay. So if we're ready to vote on the question, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. And all those opposed?
Nay.
2, 3, 4. Sorry, opposed? 4. You were in favor? So that's 5 and 4. Did I get that right? And that motion passes. Thank you. We move on to item 6.1, which is page 82 of your agenda package. And this is bylaw 0052025, inoperative, obsolete, expired, spent, and effective bylaws. The recommendation here from administration is that bylaw 0052025 be given first, second, and final reading. And would CAO like to weigh in?
Well, Madam Chair, it was really related to direction related to the water and sewer charges bylaws, which are 2020-011 and 2020-014, that they need to be rescinded, because we have new operative bylaws. While we were at it, we noticed a few others, we would include to be rescinded, and, this will keep coming back as we find more that need to be rescinded. So we're recommending that council adopt a bylaw rescinding those bylaws.
Thank you very much. Counselor Chamzig,
I'll make first reading.
you make first reading. Thank you. Counselor Cromwell, did you have any words? Okay, very good. Is there any discussion? Alrighty, so on the motion to, for that bylaw 005-2025 be given first reading, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's 9-0. Is there an appetite for second reading? Counselor Cromwell? So that bylaw 005-2025 be given a second reading. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Do we have a unanimous consent to go forward for final reading? Motion from Counselor Cromwell for unanimous consent. All those in favor? We do not have unanimous consent, so we will stop at second reading. Righty. The next item we have coming forward is on page 86 of your agenda package, 7.1, policy 9300 VHF radio system. Just get there. And the recommendation here is that council rescind policy 9300 VHF radio system is, radio system. Is there any weigh in from administration on this one? No. Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Councillor Mins? Make the motion.
My main discussion on it or question on it would be, will this affect Public Works radio system at all?
Madam Chair, not really. Even if we didn't have a policy, if we're using a radio system, we're gonna update it and keep it in good repair. We don't need a policy to do our jobs, so, but as it relates to fire, we're beyond it, but Public Works, yes, still uses radios.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. If there's no further discussion, Councillor Capitani, beat ya. So, so that, so we have Councillor Capitanic would like to move that council rescind policy 9300 VHF radio system. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And no opposed? Thank you. That's 9-0. The next item we have is 7.2, which is the road closure SL-46724-4, page 88 of your agenda package. The recommendation here is that County Council endorse the resolution to close a portion of Road Plan 2359 ET. I believe that's in the Baptiste Lake area. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Mintz.
I guess I'll start. Is this an SL or a LL? Lake lot or? Because it's got it marked down as SL.
Madam Chair, I'm going to trust that our land management coordinator has the legal description correct. And if it says SL, then it must be SL.
Oh,
It does say that on the assessment as well.
okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm done.
That answered your question?
Yep.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions or conversation that they'd like to bring forward? All right. So on the motion that County Council endorse the resolution to close a portion of Road Plan 2359 ET, all those in favor?
Move the motion.
Yeah. Who made that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I did. if we're ready to go for that. I made the motion that county council endorse the resolution to close a portion of road plan 2359 ET. All those in favor?
Aye.
And no opposed. Thank you. 9-0. Seven point three. This is the provincial education requisition and designated industrial requisition credits. The recommendation here, which is on page 94 of your agenda, that county council acknowledges and confirms the submission of the provincial education requisition credit, PERC, and the designated industrial requisition credit, DIRC, for Athabasca County. Is there any conversation with regards to this one?
I'll move that motion.
Thank you. Is there conversation, questions, concerns with this one? Go ahead.
Is that the credit we're gonna get, this 3,758?
Madam Chair and members of council, yes, that's correct.
Has that always been that much each year or is it cut in half or?
Madam Chair and the members of council, in 2023, when it was applied for, we had about $2,688 for the PERC and about $59 or $60 for the DIRC.
Oh, okay, okay. I just see 15 million, 3 million, and it's like, can we get that? Thank you.
And that would be province-wide, correct? The 50. Yeah. All right. All right. So if there's no further questions, we'll take that to the vote. Councillor Anderson would like to make the motion that county council acknowledges and confirms the submission of the provincial education requisition credit and the designated industrial requisition credit for Athabasca County. We're ready for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And no opposed. So that is 9-0 and carried. All righty. Item number 77.4, which is on page 96, Aspen View Public Schools update. That is from our presentation this morning. Councillor Hall.
I added this to the agenda only to show respect to our delegation. To assume that there'd be nothing to talk about afterward, I think is not okay. And I'm happy to move to receive it for information, but on the chance that there was some follow-up council wanted to take as a result of that, I felt it was important we had the opportunity. So I will move the recommended motion.
Thank you. Councillor Chamzik. You're good. All right. Is there any further comments? I know go ahead, Councillor Capitani.
Speaking, I guess, somebody who has been in the multiplex recently over the last couple of months, I will say that the school in partnership with the multiplex and keeping I want to say that nicely, encouraging students to utilize multiplex properly has been showing progress, and I'm sure all the ratepayers of the county and the town are happy to see that.
It's fantastic. That's good to hear. Go ahead.
Actually, I will. When we were talking about partnerships and stuff earlier, I know some of our smaller schools also utilize the multiplex with their county grant, not only for swimming, but for curling. And I think also they did a badminton or session in there as well. So
Awesome. Well, that's great. No, and I also just wanted to echo from earlier, they've done a great job with the programming, with the extracurricular activities. With staffing obviously is in good shape, and so our student enrollments are showing that as well. So I really appreciate the work that Aspen View is doing. And if we have no further, go ahead.
Although it didn't come up in the delegation, as future food for thought, as council looks at our arrangements and agreements with the town and others, town and county own a parcel of land adjacent and to the west of the school that I'm not sure there's a lease on, and that the school division was supposed to build a soccer field on after the construction of the school was placed on top of an existing soccer field. And so as an outstanding item, we own land that should have a soccer pitch on it that I've seen very little work occur on in the last 4 years. So it is an outstanding matter that is something they owe to the municipalities that has not been addressed. And we may want to reflect on that and consider whether we bring that up later.
Thank you. All right. So on the motion, if there's no further discussion, Councillor Hall would like to receive the delegation for information. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and no opposed, so 9-0. Thank you. All right, and the next item we have is 7.5, the Wandering River Hamlet sign from our presentation this morning, page 97 of your agenda package. There we go. And the recommendation here from administration is that council reconsider resolution CC 25-9 made at the January 14, 2025 regular county council meeting, and that council provide administration direction to have that reconsideration done. I believe we required under 13.5 of the procedural bylaw, it requires a 2/3 vote to do that. And we have to do that before we can go forward with discussion. So on the reconsideration of resolution, is there a motion? Do I need to, Councillor Cromwell would like to have that council reconsider resolution CC 25-9 made at the January 14, 2025 regular county council meeting. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and opposed? 1, 2,
Nay.
and 3. 6 and 3, that motion is out for reconsideration. Councillor Cromwell.
Thank you, and I appreciate my peers around the room that decided to give that reconsideration. To put a motion down to begin discussion. The motion is to direct administration to proceed with the permit to the Wandering River Community Group for the installation of the welcome sign as designed by the group.
Okay. Did everybody catch that? Because I didn't quite hear it. Could you say it just a little bit louder, please?
Motion to direct administration to proceed with the permit to the Wandering River Community Group for the installation of the welcome sign as designed by the group.
Okay, thank you. All right. And in discussion, Councillor Kaptaniak.
I'm sorry, so short. So I threw the chair to CEO Beck. Would there be interest in taking down the existing sign that's in the bush? That's the county had erected apparently or put up a long time ago from that presentation.
Madam Chair, your question was, would there be an interest in doing
The
that?
county taking that down? Like if, I understand that from the presentation, the county put up a sign that's now covered in bush.
I don't, Madam Chair, I don't have the history of that,
Okay.
of who put it up.
I understood it was the county, so I thought if the county did, should they be taking it down?
Madam Chair, I know it's county land, so we have the authority to remove whatever, if there's no permits on there. So we'd have to check to see if there's any permits have ever been issued on that land, and I suspect not, but I can't confirm that today.
Well, I'm just wondering, okay, thank you. I just wanted to know.
Do we need a motion?
Just
Do
as,
we need a motion for that, for administration? No? You're good with that? Okay.
as information through the chair to my colleague. In the time since that photo that you have in your agenda package was taken, the county has come and cleared away a vast number of derelict and old signs from that location. And I honestly don't remember seeing that old sign up the last time I drove in. So there is the strong possibility right now that it has been removed. And I can't attest to that, but I know that they've taken a large number of those signs and cleaned that area up.
All right. So on the motion that Councillor Cromwell has put forward, is there, yes, thank you, Councillor Anderson.
Through the chair to administration, does the community group have a lease or any agreement in place to install infrastructure on the county's property? Or like, is there more than just a permit required? Should there not be an agreement in place, especially if they're planning on insuring the sign going forward? Would they not need some sort of agreement to be in place for that?
Madam Chair, likely we'd need some sort of agreement with the group if the intent is for the group to maintain ownership of the sign on county land in the long term, maintenance and ownership. if the intent is for them simply to install it and it becomes county property after the fact and for us to maintain, then no agreement is really necessary. There'd just be a permit issued for ATS to do the work on the land, almost as if they were a county contractor. So it depends what relationship council desires for this, the group and the sign. Do they want to lease a portion of it to the group and let them maintain it? Or is council happy taking on this asset as if it's a county sign?
Well, if I may, just looking at the land use bylaw under 9.22 for signs, it does mention in 9.22 section 3 that no sign shall be erected on or affixed to public property without the prior consent of the county. But it doesn't go forward in mentioning, lease or any of that type of thing. So I'm not sure where we would find the documents for a lease type scenario if the land use bylaw.
Because we've never dealt with it before in this county. This is pretty straightforward in other places. For example, I'll give you, when you drive into a major urban metropolitan area, you'll have a sign saying Heritage Hills Community. It's usually on county, or it's usually on urban land. So there's usually an agreement with the developer or some other arrangement. So it just depends on the situation. If we're happy just taking on the sign and after it's installed, it becomes a county sign, no arrangement is necessary. If council desires it to remain with the community group, then I guess a lease might be entertained. I'm not sure.
Understood. Thank you. Councillor Cromwell? Okay. Does anybody else have any further? Councillor Waller?
So I'm not opposed to a sign. I think it's great. And I think we've worked really hard as a council to create a county as a whole. And that's why the color, I think I would like to see it a blue, the county blue. If we're trying to brand our county and take pride in our county, it would be nice to see if all the communities would actually buy in to the county. The county does a lot for everybody. They maintain the roads, fire services, water, all the things. So it'd be nice to see a county as a whole work as a community. So I think taking pride in our county is a great thing, and I don't care what they write on it, but the color would be nice to see.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Councillor Hall?
I'm not opposed to signs either, or to a sign to identify hamlets, to signs to identify subdivisions and any other concentrated group of rural residential properties that have a name. And I think, the neighborhood and the people that worked hard should be commended for the tremendous amount of work they've done fundraising. But I think we really would all agree Wandering River is part of the county and not an independent community like Boyle. And so I don't think it's unreasonable to ask that as part of the county, there should be some brand consistency, to seek a bit of a compromise, especially as the county works through a long, slow process of refreshing the look of county identifiers and brands. We've sat at this table for, we're into the 4th year, and from the very first budget we saw, there was a process to redo the entrance signs in the county. It's a slow process, but it's happening. And I think it's the responsible way to spend money, to find that compromise on color so that it does have that brand consistency and avoid the expense of later changing it, which I think is an irresponsible way to use funds that are donated, and a very reasonable compromise.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Chamsik?
I feel stuck. I think signs are great. I think they enhance our communities 100%. I perhaps am just reflecting. I think it's kind of a shame that perhaps us as a council, or maybe before us, when signs have been brought up in the past, haven't had the foresight to really look in this. But we do have our land use bylaw coming up, and I think, when we start thinking about strategy, and also in time from now, it may not be us sitting at the table, and that direction might very well change. I personally feel that I think it'd be great to have a sign standard in the future, but if we are using their funds, I think that they should have some authority on what their sign looks like.
Thank you. Counselor Cromwell.
It's been made very apparent, not only on this room, but on Facebook and multiple conversations with dozens of people. We are here to represent the county and those ratepayers within the county, and those ratepayers within the county have spoken. It is very easy to say, well, now we're gonna look at making a sign standard because a group from Wandering River decided that they had the ability to raise the funds and put up a sign that they were told the county will have no help in and no involvement in. It is very easy to go after the fact and go, we're gonna take your design, your funds, and we're going to alter them for our benefit. I think that is a disservice to the community and the people that have worked on that project. Arguing over a sign, I'd like to remind everybody that Wandering River was once ID 18 and we were gifted to Athabasca County back in the 90s. It is impossible to say that municipal affairs might not redesign county lines in 20 years because of whatever massive changes are out there. This sign should have no impact in that. This community group built a beautiful sign supported by the communities of Wandering River, Lac La Biche, Plamondon, Fort McMurray, and all throughout. If you look at the Appendix 4, I believe it was, you have a phenomenal list of where all these funds came from. And I stand by, we owe it to the people, we owe it to the group to put up a sign that is reflective of current times, that is reflective of the community, and reflection of the hard work that was been done. And I stand behind allowing them to put up that sign that they have designed and that they are paying for. Let's remember that for 1 minute here. It is very easy for people in this room to talk about what you're going to do with funds that belong to the county. These funds do not belong to the county. Not one penny of it belongs to the county. And how can we tell you that you're going to spend your money on this and that for me? I would tell you to go pound sand. And I think we owe it to be fair about that, as we are not using our own purse for this project. And it is high time that that gets updated, it gets installed. We've held them in limbo for a very long time now because of, again, not with ill intent, but because of what administration had told them and which path they were told to proceed on. So I think it's very cut and dry.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Garlock.
I think we made a number of decisions without having the full story. And I think it was explained to us pretty thoroughly today so that we know exactly where we stand. And if there was a time where you could ask the community to make concessions, that time has passed, because I don't think the goodwill is left there anymore. I would like to see them given the opportunity to apply for a permit, and in the permit should state who will maintain, look after, or lease, or whatever. All that should be worked out at that time. And I think the county should take responsibility to keep their property in good standing, or contribute to the community to have them do it themselves for a contribution from the county. But I would like to just have this situation resolved, and I really don't know that it matters that much to have every sign in every hamlet looks exactly the same. It doesn't seem that relevant. I think people should get what they want and what they're willing to pay for it.
Thank you. Does anybody else? Alrighty, I am in total
I would
agreement.
propose an amendment to have the sign in. I don't remember the exact wording of the motion, but an amendment that would reflect the color, reflect the county blue. Apology for cutting you off. I thought you were about to
That's
call the
okay.
question.
That's all right. To reflect the county blue. Okay. Before we go forward with the amendment vote, I did want to comment. I think I agree with a lot with what's being said here today. What we're missing that we didn't really say is we heard loud and clear today from the residents of Wandering River. And they made it very clear what it is they're looking for. And I so appreciate the presentation that we had today because it gave us that insight on this money that these people worked so hard to raise over 2 years was done so on the premise of this design. This is the location. This is what it looks like. And the wholeheartedly buy-in by everybody for it should not be ignored. That is something I don't know how we got so lost in this, but we do not have a current sign standard. We do not have current branding. We do not have those things. I was in Rochester over the weekend. They have the cutest little sign on their entrance. I just love it. And it does not have county logo on it. It does not have county colors on it. Grassland has an amazing sign. These are the things that the community came together to create. And that's the things that we need to honor. We work for the people. And those people have spoken loud and clear, loud and clear. So in my opinion, the motion that you had put forward, which we will read again before we go forward, is the motion that I am definitely in favor of. So would you like to weigh in?
Yeah. This, I don't even understand how this got so convoluted. I went back into the into the January 14th meeting and looked at all the motions. For this sign, we had 5 motions. And that was the beginning of the demise to this sign and honestly not understanding what the community was trying to do. Again, with my background, we've been talking about signs for Wandering River for many, many years. And council's been beating this around and all this stuff, eh? So, you know what? Let's just let them do their sign and get out of this mess, because next one's gonna be coming down will be probably Collington to want to do a sign and stuff like that. And we just got, it's just compounding. It's like, good Lord. If they, you know what, I really like County Blue. I bleed blue. And that, but you know what? I'm not gonna die in this mountain. I'm not. So.
No, thank you. And I guess it also should be noted that each of our hamlets has their own identity. And each of our hamlets are very proud of their own identity. And we need to honor that as well. I mean, it would lead me to want to reconsider our wayfinding sign strategy motion as well during this period, because I don't think that's funds that would be wisely spent. I think as Councillor Chamsick mentioned, we may not be the people sitting at this table. And so that money could be spent and then reversed with another council's opinion. So with that being said, does anybody else have anything that they would like to add?
As the mover, can I have final word?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Just like to, and I know we've beaten it to death here, but remind my friends here at the table of page 34 of your agenda, where it highlights from 2017 to 2024, the community involvement, with a tipping point at just over $7,000 in the 2021 year to over $32,000 for that design sign, is a huge testament to the support behind that. And I thank you for the consideration.
Okay, thank you. So we had an amendment put forward for this, which was to have the sign reflect the county blue. So if there is no further discussion on that amendment to have the sign reflect the county blue, all those in favor?
Aye.
2 and opposed? 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll just say that has 6-2 and that motion or that amendment has failed. On the original motion, Councillor Cromwell, or would you mind reading that again, please?
Motion to direct administration to proceed with the permit application to the Wandering River Community Group for the installation of the welcome sign as designed by the group. And I'm going to hand that to Ms. Blair.
Thank you very much. She's got it. Perfect. Is there any further discussion? All right, those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. So 7 and 1. Thank you. That motion has passed.
Yeah. Can we rescind that?
Would you like to go ahead?
would like
And,
to.
okay, Counselor Chamzik would like to have the motion 25-6 for the wayfinding sign strategy reconsidered. Do I have that? Did I bring that one with me? Bear with me, I'll see if I can find that one. I'm sorry, I don't have the actual motion with me to read out, the one that's to be
Can I ask
reconsidered.
administration question?
Please.
If that is, would that automatically be taken off of the action item list? Or does it need to be motioned rescinded by council?
If it's a motion for us to act on something, then we probably need to deal with it at some point. Maybe not today. But we can, maybe when we need to update the action list in the future.
Okay, so do we want to go forward with reconsidering motion 256 for the wayfinding sign strategy today?
Might as well try. Yeah.
Yes. To reconsider it, we need 2/3 vote. Yeah, to reconsider that motion 25-6. So if we should. Oh, go ahead, please, Counselor Anderson.
Thank you. Through the chair to administration, have any actions been taken to secure the consultant for the wayfinding strategy?
Madam Chair, no.
Okay, so that's one of the things that we can go forward with. So let's go ahead then. Counselor Chamzik would like to reconsider motion 25-6. All those in favor? To reconsider the 25-6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And all those opposed? That's
Nay.
2. So that is in reconsideration. So I'm assuming the reconsideration now for that motion is to have it rescinded. All right. All right. So if we can go forward with rescinding the motion 25-6 for the wayfinding sign strategy. All those in favor? Oh,
Is
pardon
there
me.
a
if there's-
mover? Just to clarify. Okay,
Counselor Chamzik, sorry. Yeah, I apologize. Is there any discussion? Thank you.
We've talked a lot about Hamlet strategy and sub levels of service. I think this is a bad move for us to go away from this. We're gonna have to look at it eventually, and like to take it off the books now, I don't think is the right move.
Thank you, Counselor Chamzik.
I do agree. Eventually, this is a conversation we're going to need to have, but at the cost of a taxpayer and a consultant, when I feel that this could be handled in-house at a later date, I think we could move in that direction.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion here? And I agree, it's an expensive venture that I believe also that can be handled in-house. And we're also at a situation right now where we have signs that are nowhere near the end of their life, that we're not in that position, I don't believe, to be replacing signs at this time. I guess I do agree that at some point, but this might not be the time. All right, is there any other discussion? All right, all those in favor to rescind the wayfinding sign strategy, resolution 25-6, Counselor Chamzik's motion, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, I guess, and all those opposed?
Nay.
6 and 2. Thank you. All righty. We are now at the section of community event calendars, 8.1B, page 100 of your agenda package.
Yeah, I just have something really quick to add, Ms. Blair. On March 4th would be Shrove Tuesday at Prospita. Shrove Tuesday at, yes.
Okay.
On the 8th is the Atmore Crib Tournament. And the 11th is the the Atmore General Meeting for their community group.
Where was that, the 7th?
Sorry, that is the 11th.
Righty.
And that's all.
Is it?
Thank
Go ahead,
you.
Councilor Gerlach.
On the 15th of February, The Rochester Community Hall is having a sweetheart supper and dessert auction for all those who are itching to bid on something.
Bye.
Pies, yes.
Just don't bid on Counselor Gerlach's pie. He's got that one wrapped
The
up.
coconut cream is mine.
Uh-oh. My favorite.
Is that all?
Mhm.
Okay, anybody else for the event calendar? Alrighty, is there a motion to accept the event calendar as Counselor Chamzik to accept or receive the, what are we saying here? We, I'm getting tired. We're going to go ahead and accept the amendments to the, what is it? The event calendar as discussed. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Aye.
7, 8. All those opposed? 8 and 0, that carries. Thank you. We're going to move to our calendars, our 8.2. And I've lost it. Who wants to begin?
I can go.
Thank you.
Yesterday I had a meeting for Northern Lights with our, Northern Lights Library System with our consultant. On the 20th, I have EOP EP course, and that's about it.
Okay, EOEP is okay.
EOEP, yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Counselor Mins?
Got notification. I got a meeting tomorrow, Alice meeting in Westlock. So, boom. I forgot about that, the last one, so.
Alice, February 12th, okay?
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, I also would like to add in March, there's 2 tentative Athabasca Landing Trail Steering Committee meetings. One is the March 14th and one is March 28th. And hopefully the 28th or one of those dates, there'll be a road tour of the Athabasca Landing Trail, which will be awesome. And if that's it, who would like to? Sorry, thank you.
I have
Counselor.
one for March 26th. There is a meeting between the Athabasca County and Village of Boyle Intermunicipal Committee.
Oil, intermiss, okay. Is there a time? I'm sorry. 9:30?
March
Yeah.
10th. March 10th, there's FCSS and Blue Heron.
FCSS and Blue Heron, March 10.
Surprised you missed that, Counselor Chamzik.
Thanks, Joe, for having my back.
It's 9:30 as well for FCSS.
At 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock and Blue Heron,
2:30.
2:30. Okay. Anybody, Counselor Hall?
Should we be proposing an intermunicipal committee meeting with the town of Athabasca for early March, first week? Or is there maybe already one proposed?
Is there a date that you have proposed?
4th.
The 4th? I think that might be conflicting with the RTOC.
The part,
It might be conflicting with another event. That date, we haven't,
calendar's empty.
it is empty, but there's conversation taking place on an event that day, the March 4th. So there'll be some counselors that might be taking an event RTOC that I have just thought about. So is there another date that you might have?
Well, I mean, I guess if there's events that we don't all know about, I would be happy to hear other suggestions. The first week's good because there's nothing else planned.
Right. It's with the RCMP training.
See that.
Sorry, yes, in Edmonton, yes. Is the 6th something that's
So do you want to put that in the calendar as,
not as of yet, because there's several dates, and that's one of them that seem to be favorable.
what are we going to coordinate that with all the people who are interested in going? Or is it just going to be kind of, here's the one, how's it work?
The email went out to several people who responded on that. So the 6th, is that a date for the intermunicipal that would work for everyone?
I guess the only thing, is, do we know what we're gonna talk about? Like if we have a meeting with the town?
Like the CAO has a list.
So, Madam Chair, I'm confused. This is the intermunicipal committee, so it's not all of council.
No. It would be, Reeve, Deputy Reeve and Counselor Hall.
So, if you want to pitch that date, I can send it to the town. I know their CAO is away. And get back to me next week, and then there's still time. We have, a meeting in between time. That council could, have a discussion about what the top items are.
So tentatively, we'll mark that down for tentative, and then discussion will take place at the next meeting to confirm. Does that sound fair? Councilor Waller.
Sorry, I must have missed this last meeting, but what's the council lunch workshop?
That's something that we were going to have as part of our discussion amongst council for strategy planning and that kind of thing. I don't know if that's still going to be, because if we have and actually, thank you for bringing that up. If there's going to be people away for the watershed meeting, it's going to be pretty difficult if we don't have everybody here. So
Yeah.
maybe that's something we should reschedule.
I won't be here, so.
You won't be here either? Okay, so that's something then the 25th, February 25th, the lunch council workshop that we need to reschedule. Does anybody have a date that would work for them on that?
I would put it off till after our meeting.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe,
that sounds fair.
well,
Absolutely. Okay, let's do that. All right, so we'll just cancel it for now and we will reschedule it at another time. All right, so the 25th, then in that situation, we only have the RMA member meeting at 10 a.m. And there'll be a few people that will be away, but will that one be live streamed then and recorded? Do we know?
Madam Chair, which,
The 10 a.m. RMA member meeting?
that is typically not,
Okay.
it's not considered a council meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. Anybody else?
Madam Chair, we should probably talk about the March Committee of the Whole date.
Yes.
Could we move it to the 25th?
25th would be great. MPC.
Just hang on, Gary. I guess that would be it. Administration. Would we want to do two close back-to-back agendas like that? One 25th, one the 27th.
Yeah.
Last time they said they appreciated it.
Yeah, Madam Chair, it gives us an extra week to work on the agenda, so it's. Yeah, it makes for a busy week, but that's okay.
Busy amount of reading. One person told me when I was actually becoming a counselor or running for council, they says, you're gonna actually learn how to read.
Did you?
Whichever, don't matter to me. We can go the 25th if that's an agreement with everybody, sure.
Okay. Is that the consensus? Everybody's good with that?
We only have MPC.
Only on MPC, yep.
25th sounds good to me.
Okay, and I'm sure that's. Counselor Cromwell, that works for you? Well, the MPC and Committee of the Whole, same day, the March 25th? Yes, okay. Looks like it's a go.
And Madam Chair, so we would be advertising immediately following MPC.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could we pick a time, like 10:45 or sorry, 9:45 or 10 or something?
Immediately after MPC.
I'd say 9:45 then.
Okay. Is it easier to do immediately after, and then that way if we do happen to go, outside of the norm?
That's all up to you guys. It's just if we advertise it at a certain time. So if the MPC meeting only takes 10 minutes, if we advertise immediately following, we can go ahead.
I agree.
But that's completely up to you guys.
Yeah, I agree with immediately following instead of a set time. Is that fair? All right, immediately following it is.
And I guess the reason I said it is they're not all members of council are on MPC. So it allows them to know when they should be here. Versus
What-
just coming and sitting.
And I understand, judging normally from our MPC, I don't know how heavy it is for this time, but, all right. Counselor Cornwall.
February 26th to 28th, CARE conference through the Waste Commission in Canmore. Camrose, one of the cams.
I'd be going if it was Canmore. Mhm. All right. Are we done? We're done? Anybody who wants to own the motion, Counselor Cromwell would like to approve the county council meeting calendars as discussed. As amended, as amended. All those in favor
Aye.
and opposed? One, so it's 8 and 1. We're going to move on to reports. 10.1, starting on page 105 of your agenda. Before we go on to the different items here, I just want to say thank you again to council, the counselors that have provided reports in this section of our agenda. It is so welcome to see and such great information for our public. So thank you for doing that. I know I was really happy to see these updates. So again, I appreciate that. And I believe, Councillor Minns, you wanted to discuss the Aspen Regional Water Services Commission?
We had a meeting February 4th in the office here, and Councillor Hall can jump in anytime he wants to. It's just a quick update, obtained extension on the asset and governance study grant from Alberta government to continue on. We had a little bit of amount of money left to spend on it, so they give us an extension on it, which was good. And out of that, we'll probably hopefully get a new utility master plan and just have some more just come up with a plan, maybe a strategic plan, hopefully through the engineering company in that. And I don't know what else, financials. Okay, so the Water Commission is flipping over to doing their own payroll in-house. So that's just what's going on there. Shouldn't be too bad for them, just due to the fact that there's 4 employees or something like that. Financials, got some stuff here that I can't even read. We're gonna look at doing a study, right, on the sewer, on the sewer charges. There are astronomical, actually, if you think about it, coming out of the water treatment plant. So looking at doing a study of maybe we have our own retention pond, and with that eco mister idea, this comes through Councillor Member Hall. A very good idea. Come up with it and do a study on it and see if maybe there's actually advantageous for us to have our own pond.
So the background, I think, because you and I are in the meetings, but for everybody else, the Water Commission does not buy raw water, or does not buy finished water from the town. They have an internal pump that they had installed because historically, if you wanted to flush a toilet at the water plant, they actually had to buy water off the town to run their potable domestic water system, which at some point somebody realized was absolutely bonkers, since they were sitting on top of the reservoir of water, and it was cheaper to take it from the tank under the floor than it was to buy it from the town. And I'm not sure how many decades that took to come to that conclusion, but far too long. The problem then comes in town is sewer charges were based on water that was used as a percentage, and the plant, in cleaning filters and membranes, produces, you know, a reasonable quantity of wastewater. And so that is now, I think, metered and it's released to the town lagoon. And but the cost on that would, I think, approach nearly $100,000 a year, possibly a little better. The number we saw at the meeting, if you just factored it up, would be in the 90s. And the I don't know what her title is, but the latest comment was that was a low bill. So $100,000 a year to dump what's essentially water that's got some coagulant in it and has been used to clean filters, so mostly clean down to the plant. The question then came up, is there a way we can be more efficient in how we dispose of that water? And given that it's not filled with toxics or black, you know, the nasty stuff, maybe there's a way to evaporate some of it or just send a more concentrated slurry into the line. And which, as everybody by now has, I'm sure, figured out, most of the plant costs are fixed. Water prices out of the plant are based, whatever the volume is, it's based on, you know, against that fixed cost. So the two ways to get water costs down are to reduce your fixed costs or to increase your volume. It's a simple formula, and this is part of the investigation to see if we can reduce fixed costs. And the other thing I think you were about to say on the financials is the year-end numbers came in. They were right bang on budget where everybody expected them to be. And I'm not sure, I'm suspecting a certain fire downtown helped with the water purchases at one point, but all in all, it did, it performed very, very close to budget.
Yeah, you betcha. And then in the financials also was lots of money spent on IT, and that's just the new norm. It's
Did you say IT? I'm sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
IT, and I think he said TO or something like that. But a lot of it's just programs and stuff. We're running and operating the water plant plus the SCADA systems out in the hamlets and all that. So, and then we're obtaining a compensation review for the compensation for the CAO and CEO and manager and staff. Yeah. So yeah.
Fantastic.
And I think you said maybe a strategic plan. That was, in my memory, one of the outcomes was it would to define the strategic direction so that, you know, whoever sits at that table, it's been a number of years since they've done that. And as part of the how do we sell more water, how do we reduce costs, is what's the strategic direction of the commission in terms of what kind of goals should they be looking at? And so that's part of that study and that work that's happening.
Yeah. The master plan, the last master plan that we had actually, or that the commission had, was from 2006. So it's time to revitalize that master plan. Ironically, things have changed. So.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I hear you were going through the master plan and the Athabasca Landing Trail as well. So the next item, I think, Councillor Minns, you mentioned was the 10.1 AA, the Regional Emergency Advisory Committee.
Yeah, I'm the alternate on there. So I went to the meeting on the 27th. It was a quick meeting. Yeah, it wasn't long. It was like beginning of January. So everybody's still coming off of a holiday and stuff like that. But one thing that was discussed there was a motion was made to send a letter to AHS regarding issues with the healthcare people coming into urban versus rural, because they bring these people in like the nurses, international nurses and that. And what really affects it is the families. So the wives and children come with these people, and they end up, nobody can drive. They end up needing items. So it's just more of a put more. I'm trying to find a word, but just put more liability onto the people in the community to help transfer these people around and that. And when these families come into urban areas, it's not as bad like big cities and stuff like that. But in rural towns and places like that, it's becoming a real problem. And the committee felt that that there wasn't enough information going back to AHS regarding this, so they were gonna send a letter.
Thank you. I made a mistake in announcing which report you were talking about, so that's my fault. That was the actually Regional Healthcare Recruitment and Retention Committee.
Yeah.
I apologize. That was
Yeah.
my fault. I mixed up the line before that one, so many apologies. That was for the Regional Healthcare Retention, Recruitment and Retention Committee, and thank you very much for that. Awesome. Anybody? All right. Once again, thank you everyone for your reports and bringing them in. I can't stress enough the importance of these committee reports because we do a lot of work outside of council meetings and there's a lot of great committees that the public need to be aware that are also serving the community. So thank you very much for that.
There was
Appreciate it.
just a
Mhm.
couple of items.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you? I apologize.
Just a couple of them, Skills Day event, at the schools and the appreciation barbecue will be discussed at the next meeting. For dates
Okay,
and that, so that's just a heads up to Councilor Carmel, for the next meeting and, just a quick conversation happened there could be a good story is there could be 2 local nurse practitioners by the end of the year of 2027 here in Ottawa.
nice.
So that's local nurses that went to nurse practitioners. So,
That's
so yeah, that
fantastic.
was,
That's a great news story.
yeah, you betcha. So,
All right.
you bet.
You good?
That's it.
Awesome. So thanks again, everyone, for those reports. We really appreciate that. And if we would like to move into closed session for section 12, Counselor Cromwell, all those in favor to go into closed? And Mr. Gerlach, was that an, oh, yeah? Yes, sorry. And any opposed? We're going into closed.
Can we take 10 minutes?